All right, we're here with head coach for the men's basketball, Jay Herkleman, and assistant Kyle Fisher. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
5-0 on the season to start it off. How can we keep that going? Put you on the spot right now.
Keep winning more points than the opponent.
Okay, I hear you.
That keeps them going in the left-hand column. Getting off to a 5-0 start, it's good. The first three were against teams that were a little lesser competition, I would say. But the thing that we learned in the first three games, our guys were going to play hard. We were able to play a lot of guys. We played everybody in all three of those games. And, we just got early season jitters out of the way with those type of games. And then the Enid game, we knew that was going to be a little more difficult one. That's why we scheduled it right before conference play. It was a team that played in the national tournament last year, and it tested us. And that's what I told the guys at halftime when it was a 2-point game, that, hey, you got to embrace the hard, embrace the fact that it is difficult, because this is the way it's going to be in conference play. And, second half, we played pretty good, and they threw different defenses at us, so we had to adjust and end up getting a nice win. And then open up the season at Allen County. It's traditionally been a place where we've struggled at. We've had good success there, but it always seems like it's a grinder game.
Right.
And this one was kind of like that. We didn't shoot it well. It was a game that was just a little bit frustrating and uncomfortable because we just couldn't get away from them.
Right.
But still ended up getting a win.
So a little bit of a slugfest, and you guys just couldn't pull away.
Yeah, we didn't shoot it well. The last two games in the first half, we haven't shot it well. Against Enid, we were 0 for 10 from 3, and up at Allen, we were 1 for 10 from 3. So,
oh, wow.
And it's a team that I think is going to shoot it well, or does shoot it well. For whatever reasons, we haven't the last two games in the first half. So, if we do shoot a little bit better up there at Allen Saturday, the margin of victory is a little bit different.
So, yeah, you said you guys are going to shoot it well, and that includes when big man Cedric Rowland pulls up a couple threes.
He's really worked at it from last spring. We talked about it, that he wanted to be able to shoot that this year. And I said, well, you better start working on it now. And he did. And, if he's set and got his feet set and it's a good shot, I don't mind him shooting it.
Right.
Because he's proven that he's worked at it, and he's proven in practice he can make it. So I don't mind it, as long as it's a good one.
Right. You don't want him just chucking it up?
No, I don't want any of the guys doing that.
Well, Boogie Cousins or Dwight Howard and just start throwing it in there?
No, we ain't doing that.
So Travis, TJ Washington, sophomore, kind of repeating in the early stage of the season of his freshman debut. Last year he was one of the Jayhawk players. I think he was second team all-conference. And this year he's co-leading your team with 13.8 points per game with freshman Marvin Johnson. Kind of talk a little bit about TJ and how he's been able to keep his game going.
Sure. TJ's really played well this year. From the beginning. He's cut down his turnovers, which he was a little prone to that last year. His decision making's a lot better. The pace he's playing at is really good, because we want to play fast, but you got to have guards that can play fast and handle the ball and make decisions. And he's able to do that. I think he's going to shoot it better than what he has so far. As long as he's taking good ones from the three-point line, I don't mind him. It's kind of like what we just said about Cedric, and it goes with any of the guys. It's just when they take hurried ones or off-balance ones that, those are the ones that obviously take your percentage down, but don't set well with the head coach either.
Right.
So, but he's playing well. Gets guys involved and understands, and it's nice having him and Malik, just two returning point guards that have been through the battles out there running your team.
And so, having those two guys, you're not ever losing, because you don't really switch or rotate one or two guys at a time. It's like almost like a hockey line change. You kind of rotate a bunch of guys at once. So being able to take TJ out and then going with Malik, you don't lose a step.
Yeah, that's the luxury we've got this year. We used to do that years ago, but the last couple of years we haven't been as deep. or maybe I just didn't have the confidence in some of the guys. But this year, we're 10, 11 deep, and we're playing 11, 12 guys every game. And so it keeps guys fresh, it keeps guys competitive in practice. It keeps guys confident that they know they're going to get a chance, and if they do, they need to play well when they're on the floor.
Right. That way you're not having to pull a Popovich and sit guys throughout the year, right?
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, it just depends. It's a long year, but right now it's working for us. We'll continue to do it and see where it goes. But I've had teams go to the national tournament with substitution patterns like this, and
Really?
it kept guys fresh throughout the whole season, and kept guys engaged when they're on the bench. They know that they're going to get an opportunity, so they have to stay engaged in the game and know what's going on. So when they get their opportunity, they play well.
Okay, so going into year 23 here, and this is your 7th year here, correct? Sixth year.
6 year, yeah.
What's the difference between this team and other teams that you've had here? Both of you guys.
Well, I think so far the most significant difference has been that we can play 12 guys. Our conference has changed so many times over the 6 years that the depth is more important now than it was when I first got here because of a 26-game conference schedule. The grind of that conference season can just wear you out when you're talking about 18, 19-year-old kids and playing 26, 28 good teams 13 times on the road. You need a lot of different bodies. And then this team having 2 returning point guards that have been through the battles, that have been on the road, know what they're getting into, are comfortable finishing games, bringing energy to start games. So having those 2 returning point guards and then having a bunch of guys that you can rely on, hopefully that keeps us fresh throughout the year in February and then on into the postseason.
Right. Less chances of injury, being able to rotate those guys out.
Well, you'd like to think, but you never know when an injury is going to happen. But the nice thing is if you have the depth and you do have an injury, that you got other guys that are used to playing and have experience playing with playing time, that they're going to hopefully be productive if somebody does go down. And going along with the injury thing, the one guy that's going to get added to the mix with the forwards here in the next, week to 2 weeks is William Jefferson.
Right.
He had the injury before the season started, and he's been practicing with us. He's been warming up and been a part of the pre-game stuff. Hasn't been cleared to play yet, but he's getting close. And so adding him to the mix is definitely going to add more depth to the forward court.
Yeah, you brought him up the last time that we talked and talked very highly of him.
Well, he's kind of a third-year guy, right? I mean, he's had a red shirt, but he's been around and having, I imagine, talk about sophomore point guards and just kind of having leaders. And even Anthony Jones is a redshirt freshman, right? So, and Joshua Hill's a transfer. So having some, I guess, I don't know if you can call them experienced voices in the locker room. They're still 20, 21 years old, but that's kind of nice, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Josh Hill, he played a whole season down in Wallace State down in Alabama. So he's been through it. Anthony hasn't. I mean, he redshirted. So, him playing, even though he's a redshirt, it's still his first times out there. And but getting William back, he played for us 2 years ago, redshirted last year. Obviously had the injury at the beginning of this year, but it's going to be nice getting him out there. He understands things. He's tough. I think he'll rebound the ball well for us. So it'll be, like I say, it's going to be another week or two before he gets out there, but it'll be nice having him in the mix.
Right. Transitioning to the coaching side of it, Kyle, 6 years here.
Yep.
Kind of tell us what, Herc praised you last time about your recruiting and, how you go about that. What, when you go out, what do you look for? Obviously, talent is a big thing, but what do you look for when you go out recruiting?
Talent's the first thing that kind of jumps out at you. You have to have some ability, but you can't win and you can't play here and you can't hang a whole wall full of banners that coach has if you don't have some toughness and you don't like to compete and you don't like to rebound and you don't like to guard. I mean, those are all the core things that you have to be able to do to play here and to win at a high level. So obviously you need some guys that can score and that are talented and can run and jump and all that. But, the first thing, the most important thing is, are you competitive? Are you a good teammate? Do you like to win? Is winning more important than scoring? How's your body language? There's a number of things, but to be a successful player here in the championship program, you have to be a winner and you have to like to compete. So.
Right. What's been the biggest thing that you've learned underneath Coach?
Gosh, I wouldn't even know where to start with that. I think one thing that jumps out is the mentality. You can't lower your standards for players or for the team ever. I mean, there's a standard of excellence. There's amount of effort that it takes every day to win, and there's going to be days where the guys, it's cold and rainy, you're out of your routine, you don't want to practice, and you don't understand this drill and why we're doing this drill. But if this drill is important, you have to do it at a very high level, and as a head coach, you have to be so bought in and energized for every detail of every practice, and you can't lower your standards at all. He says to the guys every year before the year, hey, I'm all in practice. And every single day for 6 years, he's brought energy and enthusiasm and a toughness to practice and it doesn't waver. I mean, it doesn't come down even because this player doesn't want to do it. I mean, that player has to rise up and meet the expectations, and it's an everyday deal. I think just bringing that winning mentality every day has been special to see.
So having a guy, and I mean, Coach, you're here, so I don't want to talk about as if you're not, but having a guy like Coach, who like you said, it's unwavering. How does that motivate you, or how does that keep you in line to come to the office every day and go through your stuff without dipping your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that I'm built in a similar way, but when the leader is out there, bringing it every day and wants to win as bad as anybody. It keeps you on your toes. And I also understand there's an expectation, and you got to meet those expectations and do well and have success. And it's been a great learning experience being here. And hopefully I can help contribute a little bit. But man, he's been great to work for the last 5-6 years.
Awesome.
Sounds like his boss is sitting to his right.
Yeah, right. Something like that. Yeah. Signed out with that or the raise waiver.
Yeah.
No, but Coach, I got to say, just having been a student here and then coming back and working here for the last 2 years, basketball in this town is, I think America is a football nation, but Coffeyville, I think, is a basketball town, and I think this college program has a lot to do with that. And I've had a lot of people come up and tell me that 5 games in the season, 5-0, that they're very excited for this team, and they've really liked what they've seen. And I think you guys have mentioned working hard, and this team, not that the other teams haven't worked hard, because that's been a staple of this program, but this year's team going 10, 11, 12 deep, they really bring it, and it's the games coming up are obviously in conference play are going to be tough, but we are as a community, are really excited to see this team compete.
Yeah, I think they are fun to watch because they do play hard and they're unselfish. So far 5 games deep into the season, our leading scorer is averaging 13.5 points a game, and we've got 2 of them that are doing that, and yet we're scoring. I don't know what our points per game average is, but it's got to be close to mid-90s or higher. And it means a lot of guys are getting involved. Guys got to play unselfish in our system, but we got a lot of guys that can score, and they're fun to watch. And when guys are competing like that, the fans like it.
You and I kind of talked a couple weeks ago when you were showing me around the gym about developing relationships within the community. How is that continued, or when you first got here in 94, 95, and now how have you been able to keep it fresh without it getting stale? You know what I mean? Like, coaches who have been here for as long as they have, it can get pretty. Yeah,
just having good relationships with people, just being friends with them, talk to people, and it ain't always about me. You know, you when you go talk to people, you want to know what's going on in their business and what's going on in their lives, and being that our family's been in this community for 23 years now. There's a lot of things outside of just basketball where I am around these people, playing golf and doing other things with people in this community that I like to do. it just builds a bond, and it's more than just about, hey, support our basketball program. I mean,
Right.
there's friendships there,
Right.
and there's relationships there that go deeper than just, hey, come and help me with funds or supporting our program.
Right. Looking at our next 3 games that we have, and I say we, but we were at Indy, home at Dodge, and at Hutch. So those are 3 pretty tough teams that we're going to be playing. Kind of how are you guys preparing your guys? How looking forward? How do you look at the game?
Yeah, I'll touch on it first and then turn it over to Fish. Playing Indy this early in the year is kind of strange.
Right.
It's always been a big rival. It is from high school to last Saturday, the football game. Now, this Wednesday, we're playing them in basketball already, and it's always been a game that the fans will look forward to. It's always a good environment. It's an intense game. Going up there to play, they're undefeated at this point, just like we are. They're good. They're long. They're athletic. And it'll be a fast-paced game. So that game, and Fish has got the scouts, so I'll let him talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you talk about the next 3 games, but I can guarantee you we're not looking past the next one at Indy. I mean, they're really good. They're undefeated, like Coach said. I got a chance to see them live at Labette. They beat Labette up in Parsons last week. And like you said, they're fast. They press. They've got a lot of guys. They played 13 guys in the first half against Labette, so they've got some depth. And the thing that really stuck out is they're quick and they're tough. And so when you go up on the road up there and they're playing at a fast pace and they're tough and the crowd is right on top of you, everything gets a little bit harder. It gets harder to stay in rhythm. It gets hard to shoot. It gets hard to stay poised and execute. So it's going to be a heck of a challenge for us because they're deep, they're tough, and they play fast.
That little extra, I don't know, hated, but definitely rivalry. But add to the intensity of practice, yeah.
The thing we talked about our guys last week before conference season started was the way you have success in conference is just staying on an even keel. And every once in a while you're going to have those, but you can't have peaks and valleys. And you just got to play the game and then move on to the next one. And hopefully our habits that we develop in practice and our mentality that we develop in practice is going to come through over the long haul of the conference season. But there's certain games where, you get more excited about. I mean, our guys know a lot of those guys because of close proximity, and you want to win the rivalry games. And this is one of those. It just happens to be the second game in conference.
Right.
And then later on, whenever it is January, February, when we play them again, it'll be at home. And so it's an important one to us because it's the next game, but it's an important one to us because it's a rivalry game too.
Gotcha. Well, Coach, thank you guys for coming down and taking the time out to be out here.
You bet. Thanks.
Glad to do it.
Absolutely. Have a good one.